Never shall innocent blood be shed, yet the blood of the wicked shall flow like a river. The three shall spread their blackened wings and be the vengeful striking hammer of God. You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later. All eyes to the front. You must watch, dear. It'll all be over soon.
Now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick.
It is your corrupt we claim.
It is your evil that will be sought by us.
With every breath, we shall hunt them down.
Each day, we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies.
Do not kill, do not rape, do not steal. These are principles which every man of every faith can embrace.
These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior. And those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost.
There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption, into our domain.
But if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three. And on that day, you will reap it.
And we will send you to whatever God you wish.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow ever forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be.
In nomine Patri.
Et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
How far are we going to take this, Star?
The question is not how far. The question is, do you possess the Constitution, the depth of faith to go as far as is needed?
Good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing?
All right.
I'm confused.
Confused?
Yeah. There's just so much happening in the world. I don't know what's going on.
Put your microphone closer.
There's so much happening in the world that I don't know what is going on.
Well, that's good, because neither do I. But we're going to talk about it anyway.
You know, I thought we had a rule that we don't talk about current events. We wait for 2 weeks, let things settle out, and then we comment on them. Well, we waited for 2 weeks. Things have not settled down. They're just getting more and more involved and confusing. And you still want to do this?
Yeah, I do. But I'm not. Okay, look. If people are hoping that I'm going to start a political food fight tonight, or, I'm going to go rah for your politics, sorry, you've got the wrong channel. That's the wrong show. We're not doing that tonight. But there are things that if you pay attention to them, you can start to see. I'm not interested in where things are today. I'm interested in end states. How do things end up? Okay, we know that there is, of course, a major event going on in the Middle East. Okay.
Yep.
We know that. The fact that the event is happening is largely beyond any control I have over the world. So my interest is not in trying to attack the idea of Iran or defending it, but what happens? What happens next? What are the impacts of this? And it's part of why waiting a couple weeks to see how things shake out is okay, because we're not here to breathlessly report on whatever the latest headline is. We're thinkers, not parrots.
Well, we're starting to see some of the tendrils.
Yes.
The ancillary impacts of it. And it's worldwide. This thing is not isolated to the Middle East.
Oh, I mean, it isn't where I was going to start, but have you guys, Nick, have you been watching oil lately? The price of oil?
Yeah. And the oil industries, we like it, but nobody's really sure how long it's going to last. So people are hesitant to even to do anything to take advantage of the
price.
The price, yeah. I mean, right now I guess some companies might be gambling on it being more long term, but everybody's kind of not really sure. So there's not a lot of projects really kicking off that I've noticed.
Interesting.
It's too early to tell.
Yeah, on that.
There's got to be a lot of develop that goes on. Maybe they had some projects on leased land they already held, and now we can go. They might thinking about going in and having that projects on hold. Now they can go in, but a lot of times, sometimes those leases expire. You have to have new projects coming down your pipeline to get everything lined up and all the personnel and equipment, and et cetera, et cetera.
Well, isn't that exactly what the oil and gas industry did in 2008, and then they promptly got destroyed when the gas price crashed for the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand their hesitance.
Right now, they're worried that, hey, this thing were settled tomorrow. Crude oil prices drop from whatever they are, 95 to 105, somewhere in there.
Yeah, we're at 98.45 right now.
Okay. it's all settled. It drops back to 60.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm not going to invest money now when it's at 60. But give it another week or two. Blow up a few more refineries, shut in some more crude in the Middle East. Okay, now, blow up some more port facilities. Okay, it takes you a year to rebuild the tankage, repair the piping,
Mm-hmm.
get your wells back in production. You shut off a well, you can't just turn it on again tomorrow. Everything settles out in that well. It's not going to return to full productivity. You might have to rework that well. So if it turns around tomorrow, yeah, it'll come back fast. If it turns around in 2 weeks, it's going to be a year to 18 months. If it lasts 4 weeks, it's going to be 2 to 3 years. And okay, I'm not an expert in this. I'm just know that there's this continuum. So don't quote me on the exact number.
And the refineries take a lot of time to build, but
Oh, yeah.
Refineries, what, 7 years permitting and building in the U.S.?
Yeah,
it's
but in
insane.
the Middle East, okay, if you have the refinery, blow up a whole bunch of piping, some manifolds, you got 24, 36, maybe 42-inch piping, you got a whole bunch of valves. Okay, the valves, okay, this is my business. Remember, I dealt in this. You order a valve, a 36-inch gate valve.
Big.
It's okay. How big is a 36-inch gate valve?
Well, the aperture is 3 feet, so the valve.
Yeah,
has
it's
to be
got a
bigger.
slab that moves up and down.
Yeah.
So that slab is now 3 times the size of 36 inches. 36 inches is 3 feet. So that valve is 12 feet high, the body of the valve. And then you have the stem on top of it. Then you have the operator on top of that. You buy the valve, has to be manufactured, and that comes with the stem. And then you have to buy the operator on top of that. Okay, well, you got to make the operator, you got to mate it to the valve and all that. Well, a short lead time for that valve is 26 weeks.
Oh, half a year.
You start stacking up the factory. Yeah. Are you going to get it in a year? Maybe not. You just blow up a manifold. In a manifold, okay, you got 12 tanks and you got transfer lines and you got lines going out to ships or whatever. You could have a 6 by 30 manifold. That means 30 lines coming in, 6 lines going out. Do you know how many valves are required for that? Well, basically 6 times 30. It's mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling.
So as of tonight, only one Iranian oil production facility that I know of has been blown up, and that is a natural gas facility. And Iran's energy infrastructure runs on natural gas, and all of that facility's natural gas was going to their power system. So as far as we know, none of the oil and gas infrastructure in Iran has been damaged yet.
But in other countries, has it?
Oh, you mean on the other side of the strait? Well, that's a different question.
Well, I know they blew up a refinery in Tehran, or at least the tankage of the refinery.
The tankage, yeah.
Okay, so there's damage there. Did they actually blow it up? Well, we don't know for sure about what happened anywhere.
The fog of war.
Yes. So did Iran retaliate after that? Oh, yes, they did. But it's a measured retaliation. There's kind of an agreement here. You don't blow up our oil shit. We don't blow up yours. You blow up ours, we're going to blow up yours.
Yes,
It's
and
kind
so
of
far,
generally holding.
yeah, so far that's been holding. So that's why Steve is saying, if this were to end tomorrow, not a huge deal. Yeah, there's some time to restart some of these refineries and projects that have been shut down, but the equipment isn't heavily damaged. It's a process. You do it, you get back to work, right? Not a huge deal. Somebody starts, we or the Iranians start bombing something that actually matters. That's a different question. Oil isn't where I had intended to start this, but it's a good backdrop because oil is going to end up being the whole point of this discussion. And I love geopolitics, so we are going to go all over the Eastern Hemisphere tonight. You guys have heard us after the bombings last year. We talked quite a bit about our views of oil and the geopolitics of it. We are going to revisit that episode. You can go look at it. It was the bomb. They bombed in late June, so it was about July of last year, sometime in there. You guys can go watch that again if you want. Re-up on what we said. There's not a lot there that's changed. What I will say is, in general, what has happened has only made me more sure of some of the things that I said there, and we will touch on those tonight. First of all, or next, I guess, I'm probably going to piss off everybody tonight. Okay. If you're
Me
an
too?
anti, what?
Me too?
Yeah, oh, probably.
Okay.
Are you going to be able to survive this, Steve? Is this?
I'll try.
Because so let's talk about Iran for a little bit. First of all, I want to say so let's talk about Iran. I'm an America First guy. I actually posted Twitter's responding to Joel Webbins last week, and I said that is now, has Iran been a good actor towards the U.S.?
No.
God, no. In general, has Islam been a good actor towards the U.S.?
They have not been a good actor except to themselves. Well, except when the two groups are fighting each other.
Nick, the two groups fighting each other has been the thing that's kept most of the worst of Islam out of the U.S. So,
and the two groups are
Shia and Sunni.
Okay.
And so about Iran. Iran is mostly Shia with pockets of Sunni in the south. However, if you go west across the Persian Gulf, it is mostly Sunni with pockets of Shia, stippling the shoreline there.
I want to touch on this a little bit. We all know, to make this relate to people, we all know Christianity is made up of Catholics and Protestants.
Mm-hmm.
And we have had wars between us in the past. And we have theological differences. And we don't get along all the time. And there is this great divide. It's the same fucking thing in Islam. The Sunni and the Shia are like Catholics and Protestants.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of divide.
Except they're more willing to kill each other over it.
We figured that didn't work so well.
Yeah.
For a while.
and we just decided that we weren't going to kill each other over it.
And my opinion is the Sunnis are more bloodthirsty than the Shia.
Generally speaking, yes, I would agree with that assessment. We don't need to talk about Saudi Arabia at all. Okay.
Whoa, hobby?
Well played, Steve. Look, but here's the thing. And I'm going to say this, and this might get me in trouble with YouTube a little bit, but killing psychopaths is always and everywhere an absolute moral good. Okay? The world has too many psychopaths in it. And the mullahs of Iran are psychopaths. Their deaths are an automatic moral good. Okay? And I can hear the Islamists just reeing in the background over here. Okay, the death of the mullahs is an automatic moral good for the rest of the world, and Iran has exported terror since the day that the Islamists took over. Okay, a lot of our guys in Iraq died by Iranian IEDs. That is all true. Okay. So, if the Iranians want to be free of their psychopathic leadership, I am all for that. If they want to kill their psychopathic leaders, more power to them. Honestly, I would be fine with us killing their psychopathic leaders because they export their shit to the rest of the world.
Every time one
However,
shows up on TV, the next day he's gone.
Are you an equal opportunity moralist?
yeah.
Okay. Are there wacky elements of Christianity?
Aha. Oh, Steve, okay. Steve got where I'm going with this.
Are there wacky elements of, okay, I'm going to say it, Judaism?
No, okay. I can't touch
Okay,
on
you
that.
don't have to answer that. I'm just asking the question, posing it for other people.
The direction that I actually wanted to go with this is, okay, Iran is being led, in air quotes, by a group of, there's about 10, or before the war, we don't know how many are left now. There were about 10,000 mullahs, and that was the leadership cadre. This is not Venezuela. This is not, you go in, yoink one dude, and it's over, right? There's 10,000 of these guys, and they're all murderous psychopaths. So their death, moral good, I'm fine with it. However, if killing psychopaths over there allows the psychopaths inside the US to run free, that is a worse moral failure than killing psychopaths over there as a moral good.
I'll agree there.
And
Yeah, what happened to all the deportations? Oh, that's forgotten.
I saw a new number on that. Apparently, you know how the admin's been touting 2.2 million self-deportations and all that. Apparently, the real number is 72,000.
Boy, that's a big discrepancy.
This is Twitter. This just came out this morning. I cannot verify the veracity of the number. But it was, there's questions, right? We've kind of just blindly assumed that it was 2.2 million because that's what the administration said. But that number never made sense to me. It never made sense.
The heat is not on those people now. So why the hell would they leave right now?
Steve, just as a thought on this, I was thinking about the 2.2 number never made much sense to me because they have an endless supply of NGOs offering them shelter, services, defense, etc. Why wouldn't they go to those first? I'm just throwing that one out there. But that gets back to the psychopaths inside our own borders. So this is a thought that's been rattling around in my head for the past week or so. If we were to, instead of bombing psychopaths around the world, which is a moral good, I'm not saying it's not, okay? But if we were to instead focus on removing the psychopath problem from inside the country, it would make it easier for us to deal with the psychopaths outside of our borders. And good God, do we have a lot of psychopaths outside our borders to deal with? But we can't, because we are drowning in psychopathy here inside the United States. Okay? The all these NGOs that harbor all of these illegals, a large portion of whom are operatives for the foreign governments. And China is a big worry of mine. I don't want to derail with everything going on with birthright citizenship, but there's 1 million Chinese votes in waiting. Okay, and these psychopaths inside the United States are pushing for more of that. And so it goes back to something Jordan Peterson said. Again, people, the opinions of him notwithstanding, he asked a question. If you can't clean your own bedroom, how do you expect to be able to fix the world? Right. You can't.
Yeah. Can't.
And you can't. We can't. And this is, this was like, I would love, as a human being, I would love to be able to help the Iranians get out from under their mullahs. Okay? I would.
But we got problems here.
And we don't have the resources to deal with the problems that we have here.
And actually, all we're doing over there is making the problems over here worse and giving cover for some investigations that were going on. It's kind of pushed under the carpet while this is going on over there.
Well, right.
Well, let me make a little bit of defense for the mullahs. Okay, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'm still going to defend them. Okay. Iran, okay, it's made up of Persians. Persians may have the oldest civilization on the planet, oldest continuous. Persians are good people. They kept their language. Even though they're Muslim, they didn't adopt the Arabic language. They kept Persian. Persians are different than Arabs. They are a proud people, generally a pretty moral people, highly intelligent. And you know what? Within the country, they have 4 religions. Islam,
Well, 4 big ones.
Zoroastrianism, Judaism, and Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I have not heard about great persecution of any of those groups within their country. They're kind of tolerant. It's kind of, live, let live with respect to that. Now, I'm sure there's some travesties that gone along. So correct me if I'm wrong.
So Zoroastrianism has, in the past 20 years or so, experienced a major comeback in Iran. You don't really want to be Christian in an Islamic theocracy. Not a really good place to be. Same with Judaism. There are Persian Jews, and there's actually quite a few of them. But it's not a great place to be. But Zoroastrianism predates all of those. And so it was kind of like the safe one that yeah, I'm a Persian, I'm an ethnic Persian, so therefore I can claim Zoroastrianism. And the Islamists really couldn't do anything about it. They still demand you genuflect towards them and participate in the Islamic holiday. Like there's some genuflecting, but
I haven't heard a lot of persecution and killing of Christians or Jews in Iran.
not at scale. Yeah, that's broadly speaking true.
And that said, other countries are much worse for persecution of alternate or minority religious groups than Iran.
Correct. And you don't have to go very far in the world to away from Iran to find that. I mean,
So, you know what? They're not the worst people. They're not the worst government. Hey, it's the Islamic Republic of Iran. Do you know what? They actually have elections to elect their president, not the supreme leader. But there are elements of democracy. You know what?
yeah,
My
kinda.
opinion is that Iran is at least as democratic as Israel.
Not quite. So you're only allowed to elect a president from a pool of candidates chosen by the Ayatollah. So realistically, you're not going to get anything that's too far removed from that.
Oh, so different from the U.S.
I know,
We
right?
can elect anybody we want. Uh-huh.
I know, right? No, it's democracy. I think people are starting to realize that democracy in general is mostly a farce. So that's kind of a tangent. But the underlying point here is if the United States does not have the bandwidth to deal with the Middle East, then it's kind of like, well, sucks for the Middle East. Because, I mean, okay, here's the deal. We were talking about oil at the beginning of the show. Part of the reason that the protests happened back in January of this year, 2 months ago, was because of sanctions that we put on oil headed to China, specifically to try to choke off China, that caused an economic collapse and a food crisis inside Iran. Okay, that's the backdrop. So a lot of people are out here saying, well, that's our fault. And so now we have to help them. Okay. Why is it that the U.S. is required to help everybody when it does, everybody impacted by anything it does, but no other country is required to help anybody impacted by anything they do? Okay. China has huge impacts all over Southeast Asia. I don't see a soul on anywhere demanding that China help mitigate the impacts of what they've done. Okay. If you want to group Europe together, no one demands Europe help the people of the impacted by the stuff they do. Europe is more willing to actually
take them in.
What?
They sure take them in.
Well, and they could say that's how we're helping, and that's what it's like. Okay, but no one demands that they do it. The world doesn't demand that they do it. It's always the U.S. has to take the impact. It has to bear the full consequences of any decision it makes, and only the U.S. has to do that. Well, the problem, as a result, the U.S. is running out of energy, resources, whatever you want to call it, to give. Okay, we don't have anything left, and we've got a bunch of psychopaths now leading the United States at various levels, all for the purposes of their own preferred tribe. And no, I'm not just talking about the Middle East. I mean, we've talked about the Indian lobby, and the Indians are now starting to infest the elected ranks. Oh yeah, that's been a fantastic outcome for us here in the United States, right?
Yeah,
And so,
dual citizens and funding from other countries for our elections. Interesting.
right, exactly.
Other countries are supposedly helping.
Well, there's an awful lot of countries that seem to think that the United States is just an economic zone from which they can extract as much as they desire. Okay, but they've been doing that for decades. How many decades depends on precisely which country we're talking about here. Okay, so at what point does the US simply run out of resources to give? Well, I think you're seeing that. And
Yeah, how
so,
long are we gonna keep policing the waters of the world, protecting trade
well,
while doing all these things?
ironically, we already can't. One of the reasons the oil is not flowing through the Strait of Hormuz right now is because we simply do not have the ships to provide the destroyers. In this case, we don't have the number of hulls required to do the close protection required, even on convoy. We have 74, 75 destroyers. I forget what the exact number is, but it's around there. Well, a third of them are in port for maintenance. A third of them are doing workups and work downs from deployment, and a third of them are on deployment. So really, you've got 24, 25 to work with, and they have to cover the whole world.
That doesn't even matter. Throughout history, you have ebbs and flows.
Mhm.
Either defensive weapons are
Mhm.
predominant or offensive weapons are predominant. During the time the British Empire was growing, offensive weapons just trumped everybody. When you have cannons and you can be offshore just lobbing cannon shells in, and all they have is spears, you're going to win. But then somebody comes up with a defense. And then the ships are sitting ducks. It doesn't matter. So defense wins. And then they'll come up with a new offense. And then that can predominate. Right now, the defensive weapons are predominant. Offensive weapons are inferior to the defense. Therefore, our destroyers cannot protect through the Straits of Hormuz.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I can't argue with that. So,
and here's the other thing: the U.S. Okay, it comes duty and privilege. The U.S. had a duty to protect sea lanes throughout the world, and the privilege of having the world dominant currency, the reserve currency.
mhm.
It's intertwined, and it's always been that way. When the Brits had their empire, the pound sterling was a predominant currency. So if we can no longer police the world, we will no longer have the world reserve currency, and we will lower in stature. Okay, we had our shot, we had our time. Things come, things go. British Empire came. British Empire contracted. Spanish Empire did the same.
Steve,
Roman
I gotta
Empire
disagree
did
with
the
you here.
same.
Steve, I got to disagree with you here.
Okay.
And here's the thing: when I look at everything that's going on, this reminds me much more of the transition from Roman Republic to Roman Empire. The United States is not done. There is nobody. Yes, we lack the number of hulls to police the oceans, but no one else comes close to us in combat power on the water. Like, not even close. So this idea that we are waning as an empire is absolute bunk. However,
Wait a minute. Let me push back. That doesn't mean we will have the world reserve currency. It doesn't mean that we won't pull back a little bit and have three spheres of influence: the Russian sphere, the Chinese sphere, the US sphere, with overlaps. And maybe the US is a bit stronger but it doesn't mean we will still rule the waves
Okay, Steve.
around the world, does it?
No, okay. On the reserve currency thing specifically, everyone keeps, I mean, the endless forecasts of the collapse of the dollar. Now, as you guys know, I'm a trader and I track, I'm primarily a bonds guy, which means that I track money. Bonds are just monies, they're just deferred dollars. Every time some big name comes out, Ray Dalio is a big one in this. He comes and he predicts the demise of the dollar. And every time I go look at the number of foreign transactions denominated in the dollar, and you know what? The percentage of them only seems to go one way, up. The world is actually, there's more demand for dollars this year than there was last year, than there was the year before that, and the year before that. So this idea that we are losing our reserve currency status is absolute, it's propaganda.
That might be true, more demand for dollars, but there's also a significant amount of trade that is growing that's traded in renminbi and euros.
Yes and no. So the Chinese are demanding that they want the Saudis to sell oil in yuan, offshore yuan, not renminbi. That's the onshore one.
Okay.
So it's the offshore, they want to, but the Saudis are having a bit of a problem. Okay. And that is that yuan is stacking up in their banks because no one else wants it for anything. And so what the Saudis are doing is, yeah, exactly. Shoot, Ray Dalio, the guy always selling his gold.
Yuan bonds are not liquid?
They're horrifically illiquid. Horrifically illiquid.
I understand that.
So what the Saudis are doing, ironically, is buying a bunch of oil infrastructure in China. China will probably not be able to, it will probably lose most of their refineries over the next 10 years because no one wants their currency. It's a toilet currency. If it wasn't pegged to the dollar, it would be worth 10 times less than it is right now. So yes, that is true, but the Saudis aren't very happy with the arrangement because it's screwing their FX reserve balances.
Well, you know what? The Saudis may need a whole bunch more crude oil 36-inch gate valves in the next month.
Hey,
it's you know what? Possible. They can spend their yuan on getting valves and pipe from China.
Well, they'll probably actually just go cut it out of the Chinese refineries they own and throw it on. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could happen to China right now. Because the Saudis have been buying oil infrastructure in China, the Saudis could just literally come cut the parts they need out and put them on a boat. And that would be faster than ordering them from the Chinese. And then just telling the Chinese, yeah, you figure we'll fix that on Steve's timeline. Now, I do not see any evidence. And in fact, part of what we're going to talk about tonight is, you're talking about the Russian sphere and the China. Okay, yeah. One of the things I'm going to talk about tonight is how that ain't going to happen, particularly the Russian one. So, but to recap so far, my core premise is that the United States has problems that are so big that we do not have the resources to take care of the world right now. The world is going to have to take care of itself. And if that means that some Iranians die because they decided to pop off a revolution that we can't help them with, as an American, I have to go, that sucks. I want to help you as a Christian and as somebody who thinks that the mullahs are evil and all need to be yeeted from this earth. Yeah, I agree with you, and I feel for you, right? It makes me angry that I can't help you. Okay, but I can't help you right now. Yeah, and the funny thing is, I knew this was coming 10 years ago. I absolutely loathe the man's politics on immigration. He is He just has a loathsome view on the whole thing. But Peter Zion predicted this war 10 years ago. And as much as I find his politics loathsome, my primary interest is in people who are right. And the man just keeps being right. So I listen to him. I grit my teeth when he talks about immigration, but I listen to him.
I listen to him. I grit my teeth when he talks about a lot more than that, but I still listen to him.
Well, yes, there's more to it. Yes, there's more. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but he defined 3 regional wars that are going to happen. One of them was the Ukraine war. In a 2017 talk he gave, he predicted that the Ukraine war would start before the end of 2022. Started in February of 2022. He predicted a protracted war in the Middle East that shut down oil flows out of the Middle East. Well, we're not far enough to know if this is going to turn into a protracted war or not. But I think a series of bombings and then, oh crap, we can't afford the oil flows, and so we pull out, and then that I think would count, where you just kind of go back and forth. The one that hasn't happened yet is China. We will get into that later. But he predicted these 3. So far, he's 2 for 3. And so that makes him a guy, as loathsome as I find his politics, somebody that I have to listen to. The other thing that I've experienced while researching for this show tonight is the propaganda is 10 times worse. The fog of war around this is 10 times worse than anything I had to deal with on Ukraine. The amount of hard information we're getting out is way less. The amount of propaganda being slung by all sides, and yes, I am saying all sides because there are more than 2, has been just absolutely thick pea soup fog. And that's why I said I'm going to piss off everyone tonight, because I'm going to say things that your propaganda doesn't like. So
Can I illustrate this?
Go for it.
How bad is Iran being hit? Pretty bad. How bad is Israel being hit? Pretty bad. Was the Knesset destroyed? Maybe. Saw a report. Don't know.
Probably not.
Ben Gurion Airport, was that greatly damaged? I saw a report. Was it? Maybe, maybe not. Was all the 80% of the mobile launchers in Iran taken out? Yeah, maybe. But
Maybe
they're
not.
still firing. Maybe not.
Well, I saw a report today. The amount of drones they're firing has gone up over the past week. So
the point is, we really don't know anything factually for certain. Oh, was Netanyahu, is he dead or is he alive? We really don't know.
Yeah, I saw that too. That one, yeah, I think he is too. I think there's a lot of propaganda on that one. Well, and so Shu, I'm going to bring this up because it's a good point. Big name content creators clearly posting AI war footage. Dear God, yes, Shu. This has been the most frustrating aspect of this whole thing. There was one where it was an F-18 doing a gun run on some, strafing the ground on some Iranian target. And I'm sitting here going, I know no pilot who would intentionally fly their plane that close to the ground where they can get shot at by everything from man pads to AKs, and to do a strafing run. But they had the video.
Unless it's the ghost of Kiev.
Flying an F-18, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's just an awesome guy. Do you remember that?
I
Ghost
do,
of
yeah.
Kiev?
I do. Yeah, right. Yeah, the ghost of Kiev flying an F-18 over Western Iran. Yeah, but that's the kind of thing you're getting. I mean, Steve's being a little over the top here, but seriously, that's what we're getting out of this. And so I have
Every news channel, it's propaganda. I can never tell which.
Endless. So, okay, we are 50 minutes in. We've gone a bunch of different places. And all of that was to get to this point. We don't know what's going on because no one knows what's going on because the propaganda is just horrific. Hence why I titled this The Fog of War. So, if you're going to do a show on geopolitics and people have all these questions and the answer is believe nothing you see on the internet, a bunch of people are going to go, well, then what do I do? Well, let's zoom out a bit here.
People do before the internet. They're even more confused. But now with AI, is it is it worse or is it better?
Before the internet, they didn't know for a few days that something happened. You know, or maybe they didn't know till the nightly news, and then the nightly news machine summed it up for them, and they believed it. Whether or not it was true,
bullshit. Okay, World War II. What did people know? What the newspapers told them.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was all propaganda. It was all from our side.
I wasn't saying that it wasn't propaganda, Germans, Steve.
And so, you know what? They just believed it. Right now, we are in a different time. Okay, our propaganda is still the same, but we get a little bit of the other side's propaganda. And
we
get a lot of it
than ours. And we're wondering, okay, are they telling the truth or is our side telling the truth? What the fuck is going on? And we're just left more confused, but less delusioned.
X announced last night, or I don't know if it was a formal announcement, but somebody posted a screenshot of their upcoming feature to mute, basically block people from replying to your stuff from certain regions. And the X was just having an ecstatic response to it last night. It would be curious to me to see what impact that has on propaganda operations. I know it will have some. I just don't know what it'll be. So that will be interesting to see.
My God, it's a propaganda AI bullshit.
Oh man,
on YouTube getting just absurd. It's just boggles my mind.
And
I don't even know who. There's only a few channels that I can go to. Okay, I know their bias, so I'll listen to them. But these new channels that come up spouting just complete hype and flaming bullshit. My God.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So that's why tonight I don't want to try and dive into the propaganda. I don't want to try and repeat. We're not going to talk a whole lot about current events. And in fact, I told the guys that there were some topics we couldn't bring up because they were just too new. Like, the stuff that happened yesterday, for those of you who know what I'm referring to. Why? Because we just don't know what any of it means. And we probably won't for a while. So if you're looking for a rage fest, a rage bait session on the latest thing, not tonight. Sorry. We don't do that here. Anyway, we don't like it. You can see Steve's frustration with it, right? Well,
we have opinions.
We do have opinions. So tonight I want to zoom out a bit. And so the first place I want to zoom to, let me share my screen here, is no audio tonight, guys. So we're going to do this. So as you guys can probably tell, this is everyone should be familiar with this map by now. Okay, this is the current combat operations zone. Mostly this. This is in terrain mode, and I have it in terrain mode for a reason. Okay. Anybody who thinks that there's going to be a land invasion of Iran needs to get their fucking head checked. Okay? This is a mountain range. Okay? This is a series of high plateaus. You've got, through Bandar Abbas here, you've got this one little thing. Oh, but then you have to fight your way through this chunky mountain set of mountains here. Okay. There are not enough humans in the United States military, and I'm including the non-war fighters, to make it to Sirjan. Okay, we don't have enough people to make it that far. Okay, so if you want a land invasion to take Bandar Abbas, you can get Shem, and if you wanted to do Karg Island is this is the main oil loading facility. That's this. This is if we wanted to take this, relatively easy. The Marines could have that handled in a few days. Okay,
if they could get there.
If they could, yeah, we would have to do some things.
I mean, there's some logistics there.
Yeah, there's some logistics. Yeah, well, right. That's the logistics problem. But Karg Island, as you can see, is not very big. You know, it's maybe a mile and a half at its longest. Okay. And it disappears when I zoom out, right? Bandar Abbas is another major port. They ship a lot of not oil but hard goods through there.
So that indentation around the straits, the coastline, right there. Yep, where you're moving your mouse. How many miles of coastline are there right in that indentation there?
Oh, probably 120, 150, probably somewhere in there. That you have to control. I mean, this is mountain stuff.
150 miles of coastline. How many miles inland do you need to control from that?
Well, it depends. That depends on what you're trying to do.
Oh, to open up the straits.
Oh, you mean prevent? Oh, well, yeah, okay. The answer is, and somebody drew this. You need to control all of this chunk right here.
Okay. Yeah. And then that's still not enough, because you can still fire from those other coastlines out into the middle and destroy ships there.
Yeah.
And you still have satellites, and you have long-range missiles, and tankers are pretty big targets, and they don't go that fast. They can't maneuver that fast. Man, you need a lot of troops to control a few thousand or several thousand square miles of territory in mountainous regions. Oh, yeah, give me a break.
Well, the other thing is if you know anything about Persian history, you know that their history is whenever they get invaded, they go hide in the mountains. And look, okay, we've got these mountains down here, this mountain, smaller mountains here, but then up here, and look at this. This country is just ringed by mountains.
Oh, those are huge mountains up north there.
These are massive mountains. But that mountain range goes from the eastern border of Turkmenistan by Mashhad all the way to Azerbaijan. That is a massive mountain range. Have the Persians been invaded many times over their history? Many times. And yet the Persian culture still exists. There is no way to purge the Iranian geography. No military has ever purged it. They might have controlled it by controlling, waterways and important cities and stuff. But the Persian culture, the Persian people, no, you can't. And I am not saying that's our goal. I don't think that is. But
is controlling Afghanistan easier than controlling Persia?
I don't want to think about trying to control either of them, Steve.
Well, you know what was it? Afghanistan is the death place of empires. What
Yes.
do I have the quote right? It didn't go well for us. Didn't go
Didn't go
well
well
for
for
the
the rest.
Soviets. Is Iran going to be any easier?
No. And to be fair, I don't think that's the goal. Okay. Um, there are things I know that I can't talk about to keep people safe. And so, no, I don't think that's the goal. I really do think that the administration is hoping for an internal revolution, because when you look at Iran's or Persia's history, that is typically how power actually changes hands. When the Persian people, and there's 90 million of them, decide that they're going to change power. So, but I actually want to zoom out even further. So this is the strait. This is the chunk of land that everyone is freaking out right here. Okay, and everyone's like, well, and so we're getting these conflicting narratives of, well, the strait is open, and then, well, no, but the strait's not open, and why aren't the ships moving through? Well, some of them are, but most of them aren't. The answer is insurance, by the way. And a ship will not move without insurance. And when I say move, I mean the propeller will not turn without insurance. And so the US is saying that the strait is clear to transit, i.e., they don't think there's any mines or any risk of getting hit. The insurance companies disagree. And there's a guy on Twitter I follow. His name's John Conrad. He's talked about this he was talking about it again this morning. He's a merchant mariner. He knows this inside and out. And what he said was, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Okay, even if they have insurance, they're not moving until the American fleet in the area lets them move. Okay, it gives them the green light to move, and they haven't gotten that green light, so they're not moving. And okay, so
except some, Iranian vessels, oil tankers.
Yes, and some Chinese
still
ones.
going through. Some Chinese.
Yes,
and I heard a humorous statement from a Iranian Navy person, captain. Yeah, any tanker has free passage when they get an escort from a U.S. military vessel.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's even true. I don't know. We don't know.
You know what? That's kind of tongue in cheek. Yeah, okay. You get a U.S. military vessel captain to take you through there? Yeah, you can go. We got another good target here.
Well, yeah, yes. That's part of the reason they aren't going. I don't have it up, but you can look at, there's a marinetraffic.com. I don't have it up because it's hard to use if you don't pay for it, and I don't pay for it. But you can see right here, there's a ton of ships just sitting doing nothing, and right here, there's a ton of ships sitting here doing nothing. And it tells you what state their engine's in. They're just all parked. So I want to zoom out more, and we're going to go this way because we're going to leave Iran up here. So why am I looking at Africa? Because, and Nick will happily tell the whole world about all of this, food production is entirely dependent on oil. You need oil for transportation. You need oil to make the fertilizers. Did anyone know that Iran is one of the major providers of urea, which is a key component in fertilizer production? Iran, huge provider of fertilizer components. Oh no, who knew? The countries that are impacted most by this are not the United States. The United States mostly uses nitrogen-based fertilizers, which we can produce here in the United States, and we do. So this doesn't hit us. Do you know who it hits? See if I can. These guys right here.
Right. Oh.
Somalia?
Well, all of them, but basically all of sub-Saharan Africa. If you're close to the Med, the story is a little different. Algeria, Libya, Egypt, Morocco, those guys have other options because you can float it in. That's why I included the Med up here. You can float what you need through up here. But you go down here, anywhere below the Sahara, if it ain't coming out of the Gulf, you ain't getting it. The estimated population of Africa is about 1.5 trillion people. And this number comes from a Peter Zion's book.
Trillion.
Or sorry,
Oh,
1.5 billion. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. You're right. I have way too many numbers floating around my head. And dollar math versus so there's 1.5 billion people living in Africa. And the soil quality in Africa can support about 500 million. This comes from one of Peter Zion's books. He talks about this because when he predicted this war, he was like, and it will trigger a famine that will kill about 1 billion people. So this gets into the kind of the first geopolitical problem of a war in Iran. Remember, I said we're not going to do too much, narrow view, what's going on. This is the first major geopolitical problem. Not the only, not the biggest. Right. Sorry, Andrew.
Well,
I got myself.
to just put it into perspective, the number I've heard that 30 to 35% of the world's urea supply comes out of that area.
Yes.
Needs to get out through the Strait of Hormuz. So maybe it was 31%, but it's like a third. That's a lot. And you know what? It's needed right now. And just because you opened it up today, you are now 3 to 4 weeks behind. You can't catch up at this point. It's going to take you a year or more to catch up, and you're going to miss a lot of the need. And so it's a foregone conclusion that agriculture and food production is going to decline. It's fait accompli.
Right. Sorry, I'm moving things around on screen here. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So what's happening here is they're not getting their fertilizer. Does anyone know what season it is?
Springtime in the Northern Hemisphere.
Okay, but what season is it around the equator? Sorry, Google, I don't care. They should be
Doesn't it always
planting
alternate between summer and spring?
Yes. They should be planting right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just constant planting, harvesting. I mean, their ebbs and flows and in seasons are not like ours.
No, it's more based around monsoon season. They should be planting right now.
It's a good thing they thought ahead and bought their fertilizer in advance.
Oh, did they? Okay. The problem with this is, so we were talking about immigration earlier, right? What happens when you take offline the primary supplier of energy to the part of the world that is most living on the edge of starvation. Africa is
Starve.
far. What, Nick?
Starve.
Well, yes, but what do humans try to do before they starve?
We.
Yes.
Oh no! Don't. No more to Europe. No more to America. Please no.
Their ground can their soil can naturally support 1/3 of their current population without industrial inputs like fertilizer and fuel. What do you think they're going to try to do?
We.
Mhm.
They're already doing it. but
Where do you
we
think
won't.
they're going to try and flee to?
United States and Europe.
Mhm. The places that have food. Why might they do that? Oh, I don't know. They're hungry. Cast in this light, immigration now becomes an existential issue. Now, people are going to say, oh, but it's a lot easier for them to get to Europe than it is to get to the United States. Look, they only have to cross the Med. If they get up to Morocco, it's, what is that? Yeah, it's, 60 miles. It's no different than Cuba to the US, and that's actually true. But do you know what they can do once they get here?
You go everywhere.
They can get on a plane.
Oh, no.
And then it's just 8 hours from Paris to. It's about 8 hours from Paris to Houston. I'll just pick on.
They're gonna fly into Mexico City, and they're gonna come across it.
Okay, that's a 9-hour flight. Yeah, about a 9-hour flight. And then take the train up. Take the human train up.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly.
All they got to
what's gonna
do is
happen.
get to Dubai. They got a big airport there.
Oh, that's not that. Well, you do have to cross this annoying desert. That's kind of frustrating. It's actually easier for them to go up because there's actually more flights going this way than there are that way. And the Saudis and the Emiratis, they are vicious about immigration. It's actually harder for them to get in there than it is to get up here. So up to Europe and then over is going to be the route that they choose. But there's a billion of them. Just that's just to get back down to where their land can support the native population. And now you start to see some of the bigger impacts of this. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Without a ironclad immigration policy, you are kicking off a war in Iran, getting the Gulf shut down for an
They're fleeing too there, by the way.
What?
They're fleeing too.
Oh, well, yes, as much as they can. Getting the Gulf shut down, preventing the flow of necessary components to Africa, then creates a crisis that we are unable to defend ourselves against because we have not done the work here yet. Okay? This goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the show. We don't have the resources to fight the Iran war because we can't deal with the dislocations that this is going to cause elsewhere in the world. Now, again, as Steve said, if the strait opens up tomorrow, this really isn't a big deal. Yeah, the Africans will have kind of a bad summer and kind of a bad winter. It'll be rough, but it won't be the end of the world. This goes on for 2
Poland
months.
And Austria will be okay.
What?
Poland and Austria will be okay.
Well, yes, because they have, but they've done the work to lock down their immigration regimes. Okay. If this thing goes on for 2 months and we can't get ships at any volume through the strait for 2 months, Africa misses its planting season. Now you have a guaranteed famine. You know, when Ukraine kicked off, I thought that would be the trigger for famine because Ukraine also processes. It's not the same stuff, but they produced a lot of inputs into fertilizer too. It was a different, well, potash. It was potash. They produced a lot of that, and that was, and a lot of what they were sending, a lot of what Ukraine was sending, potash and wheat, was going to Egypt, primarily Cairo, and then down. Was how, and they would send it, you know, or you could send it through the Red Sea and send it that way. So Ukraine was sending a lot of their stuff was going to Africa, and I thought, oh, you know, that'll be the thing that pushes Africa in. But we were able to figure out how to get those resources from somewhere else. The somewhere else was Iran. That was our somewhere else. Okay. You just switch the potash for the urea and they use some other. There's 3 different ways to make fertilizer. Potash is one, nitrogen is another, and I forget the third one. But it's the third one that comes out of Ukraine, and along with the urea, and it might be urea now that I think about it. Anyway, okay, so now we've shut down Ukraine because Ukraine is still shut down on that stuff because the production for that was all Eastern Ukraine. Western Ukraine was more of the ag stuff. That's still flowing, but the heavy industry was more East Ukraine. So that's shut down. And now we've got Iran shut down. Well, the only major supplier of fertilizer inputs now is Canada. Okay. Well, and the US is the only country that's built to take those inputs and make nitrogen-based fertilizers. No one else in the world has significant nitrogen fertilizer production capacity outside of the US. So, and the US will obviously make sure that it gets taken care of first. One would hope.
Our capacity was not overbuilt for export.
Correct.
It was built to supply our own needs.
Correct.
Probably a bit extra, but not huge amounts extra. I'm just guessing here.
Do we have enough to do this?
Probably not.
Right. So I don't know exactly, like, again, how long the strait is closed does change how impacted Africa will be. We haven't talked about Africa a lot because it hasn't come up, but
well, let's talk. Okay, do the same things impact the Asia? Japan is, has a sizable amount of agriculture. So does South Korea, Indonesia, at least rice. Okay, Japan imports about 90% of their crude oil from the Gulf area.
Yeah.
So does South Korea.
So does China.
So does China. So does Indonesia. So yeah, they absolutely are going to be hurting for energy. Hey, this is a deal. This was a big factor in World War II in Japan. Oh, are they going to be hurting for fertilizer as well? I don't know, but I'm going to guess yes.
So Steve, at the beginning of the show, we quoted an oil price, right? I think I said 98.45.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 97.78 right now. That is for the futures contract for what we call WTI, or West Texas Intermediate, delivery at Cushing, Oklahoma. I'm just spitting stuff. Nick's rolling his eyes, even though he's got his camera off right now. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. It's what we call in trading land CL. CL is the ticker.
Yes.
Okay. Steve, do you want to take a guess at what oil in Asia is trading at right now?
Wait a minute. Cushing, Oklahoma. Yeah, that's kind of like in the middle of the country. It's not even close to the port. You got to move it across the country, pipeline, and you got to tanker across. Oh, I'm guessing that's going to cost at least $10. So I'm guessing $110, $111.
Guessing 140.
Okay, Nick. Nick must have been looking shit up while I was talking.
No, I'm just thinking. I'm inflating. I'm like, yeah, that's probably going to cost about.
It's been trading between 140 and 150.
Say that again.
140 and 150. That's the trading range for.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
Yeah. I believe that's Nikkei is where it's trading. I believe it could be Singapore. Don't quote me on some of the stuff. Where these contracts actually are can be hard to figure out sometimes. So, okay, Steve, you broke the seal on Asia. So let's talk Asia a little bit here. If we look at the futures contracts, so oil futures are monthly contracts, delivery on a specific day or in a specific month. So you buy oil futures, the April contract is for delivery in May. The May contract is for delivery in June, et cetera. Okay. It's a future. It's for future delivery. Eventually.
Yeah, this is U.S. futures traded in what, Chicago? COMEX?
Yeah, this is COMEX.
CME.
But all oil futures follow the same pattern. They're all monthly delivery futures, even in Asia. So,
right. Or you could do the European market. They trade Brent.
They trade Brent crude, correct. Yes.
But it behaves similarly. There's a difference.
There's a
price difference, but not really in the way they behave.
Correct. So the spread right now is insane between WTI and I forget what the Asians call theirs. It hasn't mattered much up until recently. So, okay, we have Asia on the screen here. Cool. The Asians are paying $150 a barrel for oil. Russia is loving this, by the way. It was what?
Yeah, didn't we take the sanctions off Russia now for the oil?
Only to India.
Mm.
The Chinese, however, have just decided that they don't care and they're going to run illegal sanctioned oil anyway, and they're not going to. Then they'll just pay the Russians. The Chinese are desperate for oil. Desperate. They probably have.
Iran.
What?
Yeah, we cut off Iran. Of course they are.
Yeah. Yes. They imported, I think, 40% of their oil from Iran. That's huge. Like, no oil market has excess capacity of 40% to take. Like, that's just wild. So China's buying from anybody who will sell. The Russians are loving this because their oil's still trading at a discount, even in China. But the discount is okay. If Asian oil is trading at 150, the discount is like 50. So they're getting $100 a barrel.
I heard what they did to India. India was playing that discount thing. Yeah, we'll buy your oil, but we're not supposed to. So we need a $5 discount. So then when India said, we need your oil, and the sanctions were lifted, Russia says, yeah, we'll sell you the oil at a $5 premium.
Oh, classic.
Oh, can you imagine the Russians doing such a thing?
Yes, I can. As a matter of fact.
I think that's hilarious.
So China has two problems. Obviously, Iran being and the Strait of Hormuz being offline, but their oil goes through two choke points, and the second one is this one here. Okay. We still could shut down the Strait of Malacca if we wanted to. We won't. But that oil has to go from here, Karg Island, out the Strait of Hormuz, past the Indians, who are also desperate for oil because they don't have a lot of tankage capacity, up here, past Malaysia and Indonesia and Singapore, and then up through the South China Sea. Okay, we've talked about this before. You shut the Strait of Malacca, you cut off China. There is an oil pipeline in Russia up here. It's called Power of Siberia. It runs basically like this. Okay. Russia cannot provide enough oil to China. I'm sorry.
Is that one of the problems?
Yes.
Is that
No, that's one of the problems.
Yeah, I heard Russia has about 500,000 barrels a day excess pumping capacity.
Yeah, Steve. That is right here and right here. Russia's oil infrastructure is mostly built to ship to Europe. In order to ship oil from Siberia to China, because the oil is up here, okay? This is the oil zone for Russia, okay? There's lots of pipelines that go, Yekaterinburg is a big oil hub. Basically, all the pipelines run through here and they go here. So Russia needs to build. There's one pipeline that goes this way, and it's running at max capacity.
So can you point out to me, where is Baku?
Baku, isn't it down here? Yeah, right there. Azerbaijan.
Okay, so you know the history of Baku?
Some of it. Don't know what you're reaching for.
Well, basically, that was the first major oil region. And you've heard of the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize? The Nobels were what? Swedes or Norwegians? But the Baku or the Nobel brothers had the contract around Baku. That was as big of oil area as the Mideast back 120 years ago. That was a big deal. That's the oil. That's where the oldest oil infrastructure in Russia is. Baku. The rest of it is new. So to get oil out of Baku, which is a very rich oil region, you don't have the infrastructure to take it to where it's needed. That's my point.
Oh, well, kind of. There are pipelines that run up through here this way and this way.
Yeah, you know what? Are those pipelines at capacity now? Maybe not full capacity, but there's not excess capacity to pump another 10 million barrels.
No, there's
bullshit. You know what? If you can pump an extra 100,000, 200,000 barrels a day, that's big deal.
Yeah.
We're talking about a shortage of like 10 to 15 million barrels a day.
Correct.
It's fucking huge. How much oil does the U.S. consume in a day? Yeah, it's like 18, 19 million barrels. It's the entire demand of the U.S. is missing from the market every day.
Correct. And do you want to know the most wild thing about that? The U.S. is a net oil exporter, which is why the difference is so great between WTI and Asia in oil prices. The United States has more oil than it uses right now. We pump more than we use. So, I'm not going to spend too long on this one, but okay. Right now, oil. So futures are really funny things. There's something called a curve. So multiple contracts are traded at the same time. The April contract is currently trading for CL. Let's see. I have it up. Right. So yes. So the April contract is currently trading in CL, but I could also trade the May contract. Let's see, I've got I could trade the June contract, right? And you can look at the prices for all of these contracts and you can kind of figure out where the oil industry expects the strait to open up. And the answer is right now, sometime between end of May and end of June. That's where the oil market, when you look at where the curve kind of flattens out, the price curve kind of starts flattening and off. That is where the oil market expects the straits to open up. Now, these are 1 month contracts, so they're not. It's not a precise measure, right? So it's end of, actually it has moved out. When I last checked, it was closer to end of April. Now it's kind of moved to end of May. And every day this goes on, those contracts move through time. And if it still hasn't opened up, you'll see this pushed out. Okay. But right now they're expecting end of May. And okay, well, that's a disaster for China and Africa. You have something to say, Steve?
I was just trying to remember how much crude oil reserve does Japan and China have?
Well, in China, we don't know.
I think, was it Japan had like 120 days?
Yes, but they don't.
Something like that.
They use less of it per capita than almost any country on the planet.
China, we don't know, but I'm guessing China might have a couple hundred days of crude oil reserve. I mean, they're a bit more prudent in some of these things. Could be wrong.
The estimates I've heard for China are way less. I've heard as low as 40 days.
Well, that might be possible. That might be true too. I have no idea. Whether it's 40 days or 200 days, it's limited.
Well, so the interesting thing about China is the week after Iran popped off, they started restricting internal aviation airline flights because they were trying to restrict the usage of that oil to give it to international flights. Because with domestic flights, you can do something called tankering, where you fill the airplane up with more fuel than you need so that you don't have to buy it at some far out station that might charge you a lot or doesn't have enough, etc. So the Chinese kind of restricted their internal flights to reduce the need to do tankering, which reduces the need to do, to distribute oil or jet fuel that they don't have. You can't really do that with international flights. It takes pretty much all the airplane's fuel load to get you there and then get you out. So the other thing is the Chinese have they were doing these, weekly, basically intimidation exercises with their Air Force around Taiwan. That's stopped. They haven't done that in weeks. So the Chinese are, whatever their actual storage number is, they immediately went into conservation mode with this. So even if they had 200 days,
they know something. They went in conservation mode on day one.
Yeah, basically.
They cut those flights, military flights over Taiwan on like the 28th of February or March 1st. They cut them immediately. Now, maybe there's other reasons. I don't know. But have they resumed them yet?
Nope. And the timing is suspicious, isn't it, Steve?
It's just one of those factors out there, correlated or say it attributed to something else. I don't know.
All I'm saying, it's a suspicious data point. That's all I'm saying. Iran, we start bombing Iran, and the first thing that the Chinese decide to do is stop flying their intimidation flights and restrict domestic air travel. Things that make you go, So whatever their storage level is, it's not good enough for them to say, oh yeah, we can weather this out. We can weather the storm. That's as far as I know about their storage levels. So let me pull my notes back up here. And yes, I do have notes. I did not send them to the guys in advance, in part because I want their honest reactions and I want their pushback, which I've gotten tonight, and I like that. But China isn't the only users of Iranian oil. Zoom out a little more here, because Europe is also heavy users of not Iranian oil, but Saudi oil, which has to go through the same closed Strait of Hormuz. President Trump was asking the Europeans to send ships to help keep the strait open. They said no. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here at all. I think that's because they've decided to use their ships to raid the cargoes coming out of St. Petersburg and the Black Sea. I think they've decided that's what they're going to do. If that happens, that is doomsday for China, because China right now is buying every drop coming that escapes Denmark, basically. They're buying every drop that they can get. How long that lasts, I don't know. But the Europeans really don't have that many ships to send at all. The UK has the biggest navy up there, and they spent all their money on 2 aircraft carriers and didn't build destroyers to go with them, because the idea was, oh, well, we'll just embed our aircraft carriers with American destroyers. Congratulations for how well that's worked out for you. So if you have to keep the Russians on their toes here, and you want to use your minuscule fleets for pilfering Russian cargoes, well, you're not going to send them to the Persian Gulf. And this kind of makes sense. For the U.S., this is an okay outcome because it continues to cut off China. So me as an America First guy, I'm kind of on this one. I'm kind of ambivalent. Just you do what you want to do.
There is one ship that the NATO countries have that the U.S. doesn't. Do you know what that is?
You mean type of ship?
Yes.
What, the frigate?
No, minesweepers.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
The U.S. has not built purpose-built minesweepers. They've adapted some ships, but I don't know which countries have, but I just heard this. Probably Britain, France, has minesweepers. They do not have steel hulls. They were built purposely for doing that.
They're built with wood. Oh, Steve.
But I don't really think Iran has mined the straits yet. I don't know that we need them.
I haven't seen a lot of evidence, but the United States just retired its last 4 wooden minesweepers. They were put on a ship. The boats are relatively small. There were 4 of them. They were all based out of the big naval base in Bahrain. They were all based out of Bahrain here. And we stuck them in January, we stuck them on a big ship and floated them out. January of this year. We had 4 of them.
I think we better rebuild our wooden building ship skills. That's what I'm saying.
What we did was we built a module for the littoral combat ships that can be plugged in and turns them into not really minesweepers, more mine detectors. Don't know if it works or not. The United States Navy isn't saying anything one way or the other. I haven't seen a lot of evidence that there's mines in the strait. However, no ship captain has been willing to risk it, so it doesn't matter if they've mined the straits or not, because the ship captains aren't willing to risk it. So, maybe somebody offer one of them enough money to try, but we're talking about tens of millions of dollars to try here. And there's exactly. This is a chessboard, and this is, okay. But so, I'm kind of ambivalent to what I think that's what the Europeans are going to do. Start pilfering Russian cargoes. That hurts China, so I'm okay with it. Trump's making a big deal out of the fact that Europe won't send help. When I look at the force tables for Europe, I kind of go, yeah, and I understand why. They have nothing, you know. And when they sent stuff last year, most of it didn't work. There were some hysterical failures. Was it a Dutch ship? It's either Dutch or German. No, I think it was Dutch. They went to go. They were doing self-defense and they were trying to shoot down a drone. And they hit the fire button and the entire ship shut down. There was a software and all the electronics in the ship went dead. So how badly do you want the Europeans there? Because they could turn into self-inflicted casualties that you then have to go bail out, I'm more comfortable with them pilfering Russian cargoes because it hurts China. So,
well, I'm looking at this map. I just have to say, I'm sure glad that the Iranians are not really buddy with the Yemenis.
I know,
the
right?
Houthis in Yemen, who could, actually close down the Red Sea and cut out that shipping lane too. Now that would be
this one right here.
Whoa, wait a minute. The Houthis did have a lot of Iranian support, didn't they?
That's all they have.
And they've been pretty quiet lately. And if they started getting a little bit uppity again, man, things would really get ugly.
Yes, the question is, do they have the resources to do so, because they were effectively proxies for Iran, and Iran is having trouble getting stuff out of the strait too because it gets intercepted by the U.S. There is a carrier right here. The Abraham Lincoln is sitting right here.
If things were pre-positioned, all it takes is damaging one or two ships and the threat. And you can curtail things massively. So if they're just situated for a month or two, they have 40, 50, 100, 200 missiles that they can disrupt things. Man, just add that on top of things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And now the interesting thing about that is that would screw China as well, because the oil, you can float the oil around Africa, but it takes forever. It's like 6 weeks. You really want it to go through the Suez. And if the Yemenis shut it down, that screws China too. China here, man, I'm telling you, they're having a really rough month, which I'm fine with. So let's talk about China a little more. In our last Geopolitics stream, shortly after the bombings in Iran last year, we talked about, and this is a view that I hold, and I've held this view for a while personally after studying maps like an autist for 10 years and reading. But I floated this idea that China was not preparing to invade Taiwan. Okay. Taiwan is at its shortest point. At the shortest distance between Taiwan and China, you're looking at 90 miles of open water. And this part of the strait is very difficult to cross in any large scale, except for March and October. You've either got super high winds, or you've got monsoon season, or you've got, and the actual bases. So the big military bases are Fuzhou and Xiamen. Okay, so you've really got to go further, right? It ends up being, probably closer to 120 miles. That would be the longest seaborne invasion between any 2 points in human history. from a nation that has never done a seaborne invasion ever.
Plus, the beaches on Taiwan are not friendly for land invasion.
There's a
That's
reason
what
I
I've
put
heard.
terrain. There's a reason I put terrain on this thing.
You cannot. It's not like it's not as easy as landing at Normandy,
No, no,
and
no.
that was not easy.
Well, okay, yeah, that's what you're dealing with. That picture right there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's this rock wall, basically, right? That's what you're dealing with. Not easy to. This is, and let's say you do get an invasion. You don't. This country is mostly mountains. Like that, 80% of it is mountains. Where do you think they're going to go? The fighters are just going to go up into the hills. And then you have the exact same problem that the United States and the Soviet Union had in Afghanistan, or that we would have in Iran. This would be the most difficult invasion to win. Yeah, exactly, Shu. Chinese would hit the wall. Yeah, this would be the most difficult invasion in human history to succeed at. The chances of them being able to do this are just, I
And
guess.
then we shut down the Strait of Malacca.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Then we shut down the Strait of Malacca. And it's like, and we bombed the Power of Siberia pipeline up to the north. Like, okay, congratulations. But, and this is what I postulated in the last stream. What if China were to instead go from, what's the name of this? Inner Mongolia. Go from up here, could be here. You know what would work really well? Oh yeah, this right here. There's a little port for the Russians, just a little port called Vladivostok, and it sits, we'll call it 25 miles away from the border with China. Vladivostok is the only large city on the east coast of Russia. It's the only big one. There's hamlets and stuff, but it's the only big city. And you can see it just. Yakutsk is the next big city at over 1,000 miles away, right? Like, congratulations. And the idea we postulated, or that I postulated to the group, was what if China instead came up, took Vladivostok to prevent the Russians from doing anything, and went up here. This is the oil patch, okay? It's actually all of this right here. It's huge. But you know what else is up here in this chunk of Russia? Every precious metal you can imagine. Every rare earth mineral you can imagine, all of them. Platinum, iridium, gold, silver, all of them are up there. Rare earth, all of them are up there. And, the Russians have been doing this thing where they have moved all of their military hardware over here. Okay. If you're China and your most desperate need in the near future, yes, I know Taiwan would be great face saving. But if you've got people who are getting close to a revolt tomorrow because you don't have energy, and therefore they don't have energy, what would make the most sense for the Chinese to do? Go take it. And they're built for this already.
You have population issues on both sides. China doesn't have the population that they claim.
That's true.
They claim 1.4 billion. This might be shocking, but I think it's only 800 million. Okay. Call me crazy. Whatever.
Okay. Crazy Steve.
Still 800 million. That's a lot. Remember,
A lot of people.
the U.S. only had about 145 million during World War II.
Correct.
We had what, a force of 2-3 million soldiers.
2.8, I think. 2.8. Yeah.
Okay. So, and if they're starving, they're going to find a lot of volunteers. I'll say that in quotes, volunteers. Okay, so they're not that far away. Russia has a population of about 240 million.
No, but okay.
But okay, it might be.
It's about 140 million.
140? I thought it was 240. What?
The last census in the last data we got in 2015 was 145.
Okay, doesn't matter. How much of that population lives east of the Ural Mountains?
Less than 5%.
Oh, where are the Ural Mountains?
Ural Mountains are right here.
Way west.
Holy shit. So you'd have to get your troops across how many time zones?
11.
And how many paths do you have? How many rail lines do you have across there?
One. And it's funny because this map actually shows it. It is Kazan, Yekaterinburg, Tyumen, Omsk, Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk. Right? Like, that is the rail line, guys. Is those towns.
And okay, a train runs at what do trains run on there? 30,
45,
40 miles
60,
an hour,
45,
60, whatever. How
In an
many
emergency,
hours? It's still going to take you like 2 days to get there.
The actual
Well,
train
maybe.
ride, if you do this, and it can be done, is 4 days.
I mean, it's just the amount of distance is mind-boggling. That's what I'm trying to show here. Even through my ignorance and, just throwing out random numbers here, it's a fucking huge difference. So China attacks. Okay, they can mass people inside their border. They could do this, and Russia is going to go, holy shit, what are we going to do now? And then the rail line is taken out, and they're fucked.
Meanwhile, they're dealing with Ukraine.
Correct. Which, as I have said before, was a war they did not need to fight. I am convinced, although I have no evidence, that China was the ones who pushed them to do it. And this is why. This map is why. The Russians live over here. Those mountains, they're all over here. The resources are on the other side of those mountains. They're all up here. The Chinese, who are now experiencing extreme shortages of oil, have to be looking at their old maps for invading Russia going, you know what? Okay, Andrew, good question. Yes, they have a lot of territory to cover. But what Steve's point is, it's just territory. There's no people to fight back. So you just kind of go for it. And it's 4 days before the first Russian troop can get there to stop you. Okay. This would take time. The Chinese would, and the Chinese would have to build infrastructure to solve the oil problem. This is not an immediate solution to their immediate problem. However, think strategically, not tactically. What we have done in Iran is shown China that we can at any moment disrupt their primary supplier of oil. these guys. Okay. Does it now not become a matter of national survival to, at whatever cost and in whatever timeline you can, get access to resources that you don't have to ship 6,000 miles through hostile territory? Okay. You can speed run this shit all the way to the Urals. It's a lot of ground to cover, but there's no one to stop you.
Well, war has changed. You occupy territory, you become the defender, and have drones. It becomes very difficult to attack. You take out the rail line. Okay, there is no way you can mass troops any longer for an assault. It's why the U.S. can't invade Iran. There is no way we can accumulate 500,000 troops or 1 million to invade, because they would be droned and missiled to death while they're assembling. Russia would have the same problem. If China took the territory, Russia would have a hell of a time retaking it. And, okay, China would know, no, this is not tactical, which means short term. It would be like a 20-year effort for them to extract the resources from them, because you have to build the infrastructure. And China is not really adept at oil infrastructure and drilling and all that shit.
That's all true.
This is very complex. But, okay, I'm not solving anything here. What we're pointing out is this war in Iran, the U.S. decision, well, along with the Israelis, to attack Iran, puts the whole world at play. And it sets a whole bunch of marbles in motion.
Yep.
Who knows what's going to happen? To put it mildly, I don't think this was a prudent action. But it is what it is. And now all these things are in play. Who knows where it goes? And everybody's like me. Okay, could be this, could be that. Should we do this now? Should we wait? How bad is it going to be? Is it going to blow over? I don't know. But the longer people go, the more certain the dramatic impact is going to be, that the crude is not going to be back. Okay, oil facilities are destroyed. Okay, well, we're in for the long haul now. Fertilizer is delayed. Okay, we got famine now. We're going to have people moving. Okay, well, it comes down to survival of our people. Yeah, we're not going to get out of this without a lot of hurt. So it's too late for tactics. We got to go for strategic moves to preserve our civilization, no matter how much it hurts. And that's when the shit hits the fan and people start doing really I don't know what the right word is, but to hell or die, or
Desperation.
desperation moves. That's the right word.
Thank you, Nick. That's so. And here's the other thing. And my wife has talked about this. These parts of Russia are not ethnically Russian. The chances that they would fight the Chinese very hard, given that they're ethnically closer related to China than Russia, not very good. Could the Russians try their nuclear wall thing? Yeah, they could, but that comes with a whole other set of risks, including the fact that nukes don't actually work all that well on mobile armies, because the actual high pressure damage area of a nuke is actually really small. It's a kilometer at most. And if you're inside a sealed tank, it gets a lot smaller because the tank can take the pressure wave for you. Nukes are designed for knocking down cities, not stopping armies. Colin Powell in Iraq One actually commissioned a study, and I've seen excerpts of it about how many nukes it would take to do a sort of a, what do you call it, a nuclear artillery strategy, where we just nuked Saddam's army ahead of us and then went through it, and it took like more nukes than we had at the time to actually make it work. So because it just doesn't actually impact as much. Nukes are not as scary as the movies made them out to be, and that's the problem here is they're not actually that good at stopping armies. And so the biggest risk for the Chinese is that they run their logistics trains can't keep up with the way their army advances. But given how depleted the Russian military is, I would say that doesn't matter. They could spend an entire summer getting up here, kind of cutting this part off this way, and then the Russians won't be able to do much of anything with it over winter. So you just bomb the hell out of the railroad here, and that shuts down winter operations. And then the next, this is an operation that's going to take years to do. Okay. And Steve was saying it's going to take them, this is a 20-year project. Right. But at the end of this 20-year project, you have now secured functionally unlimited energy within land that you control. Okay? You don't have
you can control thousands of square miles with tens of people.
If there's no other people in it, yes.
Because there's hardly any people up there.
Yes.
I mean, that from Vladivostok, you go north of there, it gets pretty damn sparse.
Yeah.
You go 100, 200 miles north of Vladivostok, it's like nobody lives there.
Because nobody lives there. That's the...
So who controls it? Well,
whoever's there.
Or nobody does, or maybe they do, or I don't know. And so you develop a mine up there. Well, do you control the area? Well, I control the 10 miles of area around the mine. That's about it.
Yep. And you need to keep the pipeline safe. But that's it. That's all you have to do, right? And you need to keep the Russians out of bombing range of your pipelines. It's not that there's nothing, but if you can get yourself to the Ural Mountains and you just hold there, the oil infrastructure is thousands of miles away. The Russians don't have much that can reach up here, and
scroll that over to show Alaska in there.
That's a long way, dude.
I know. Look how big Alaska is. We know that's a pretty fucking big state. It's the biggest state in the U.S.
Yeah.
How big is Alaska? Fucking huge. How big is the eastern part of Russia?
Landmass wise, it's like 7 times bigger or more.
Yeah. I just want to put that into perspective for people. Okay, so, what would it take for us to control Alaska if that was owned by somebody else?
Oh, man.
I mean, it's laughable.
And yes, it is very inhospitable terrain. There's an oil field up here somewhere where there's no roads and no rail to it. There's a pipeline and everything gets flown in. None of this is easy. I'm not saying this is easy. But the Chinese have shown throughout history that they're quite willing to throw bodies at a problem, and they have more bodies than the Russians do. And
again, the Russians are too busy throwing bodies west of there.
Correct. And the Russian bodies are all stacked up right here. So Russia would have to, if China does this, Russia would basically have to go to Kyiv, say, you know what? Well, you can have it all back. Just don't invade us. pick up everything they have in Ukraine right now and start shipping it. And that's a logistical nightmare to begin with. Chances are, if they will try to go over here, because Russian ego being what it is, again, my wife would love to fill you guys in on what that looks like. We were talking about it at dinner last night. They'll try to get out here, but there's only one rail line. And so they just won't be able to get, they will mass stuff in Yekaterinburg, which is the base of the Ural Mountains. And so very likely they'll just be a bottleneck here. That's it. All their stuff is there. And that's what they get. They can hold the Urals, but that makes Russia a rump state with not much interesting, because all their natural resources are up over here. There's not that much to speak of in here. Okay. And what else do they have? Well, they've got the wheat belt, but that's really just this chunk down here. And you've just spent the past 4 years pissing off your neighbor and biggest economic trading partner. Russia dies. Russia goes away as a unified state. But I've been saying that for years, and you guys have heard me say that before. So, yes, Andrew, you are correct. This is like Risk. China holds all the cards here. And here's the thing. Taiwan is a status project. And the thing about status projects is, when your existence is on the line, you're willing to put your status projects on hold. I mean, why was the first thing they did stopping the intimidation flights? Because while it's fun and makes for good headlines, when you don't have the oil, you go, yep, that's got to go, because it is just a status project. Invading Russia is an existential necessity, because that is the only land connection to large amounts of natural resources that they have. Would they like to build pipelines here through Tajikistan, Turkmenistan to Iran? Yes, that would be the ideal for them. The problem is that this is some of the most inhospitable terrain on planet Earth, and it is populated by people who just hate everyone, including the Chinese. And so, whereas up here is flat land, the Russian word is taiga. It's flat, and all the people are ethnically pretty much like you anyway. And so they're just gonna be like, oh, China, come on in. Right. So you're not going to have to fight with them. And if you try to get your oil out of Iran, well, the U.S. loves bombing Iran, so they can bomb the oil infrastructure over here. Do you know how hard it would be for the U.S. to bomb oil infrastructure up here? It's not impossible, but you have to do these polar flights. You literally have to go.
Flights are terrible.
Yeah, you literally have to go up this way, down this way. You need refueling infrastructure, so you have to put your refuelers way up here. It's doable, but it is a lot of work, and there's no way for us to invade across the North Pole. We don't have that kind of tech, not at scale. I know the 10th Mountain has a winter warfare division or winter warfare training center up here, but it's a small part of what the U.S. military does. So you've got a big natural barrier that the U.S. can't really cross. You've got flat land access that you can build. They could probably build this pipeline in 6 months, because Chinese don't give a shit about, a little leaking or work site ethics or any of that. If they kill a few hundred people building a pipeline in 6 months, they'll kill the few hundred people. They don't care. So
Man, that's a long way, even if you had balls to the wall.
it is. I'm not saying this is quick.
I don't think you could do it in 6 months.
Well, okay. You know more about this
maybe
than I
a year, because you're just forging through. You have streams and rivers,
Yep.
bogs, and no infrastructure. Holy shit! It might take you 2 years.
Okay. Would you rather have access to oil that no one else in the world can touch in 2 years.
Oh, I'm not saying it won't be done.
Right. It'll be done. How long it takes them, who knows? Okay. So all of the stuff going on in Iran has actually made me more convicted that the Chinese will not invade Taiwan. They will instead head north into Russia. It's easier and it gives them an existential lifeline. There's one last thing I want to look at, and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead, Steve.
Wouldn't it make sense for the U.S. to make friends with Russia and help them exploit their mineral resources in Siberia?
I think I gave you the same answer to this question in the last stream, and the answer is hell yes, oh God, yes. But we would need Russia to stop attacking Ukraine and threatening Europe first. Because while they're doing that, we can't help them. And it's not that whether we want to or not, we can't. Because the Euros would start sinking our shit headed to Russia.
Yeah, well, okay. If that were to happen, somehow miraculously, could we build that tunnel under the straits up there, Bering Straits, and connect rail lines from the U.S. to Russia? Well, then we'd have to build rail lines all the way from.
You have to get from here to here-ish to connect with the Trans-Siberian Railroad.
Here's the other thing that I was.
It's only 2,000 miles.
Okay, to get there, to get to Alaska, first of all, the U.S. would have to build rail lines to Alaska.
From probably North Dakota, actually.
North Dakota, probably.
All the way up to here.
Because there aren't any rail lines going up there now.
Correct. That is 2,000 miles.
Yeah, okay. We can do that in like 2-3 years. Then you got to build that tunnel under the Bering Straits. Yeah, that's going to take like 5.
Yeah, that's a big project.
Okay, now you're going to build into Russia. Okay, now what I haven't figured out is if this was even possible. The U.S. rail lines are built on a gauge of 4 foot 8.5 inches.
Soviet Union used a different gauge. You have to do a switch.
Oh shit! They used the 1 meter gauge.
Yeah.
Oh damn! What size rails and where are we going to transition all this? Fuck! This is a problem.
Right.
It's just trivial. I'm just saying, you know what? You can't just simply connect rail. There's all these little logistical details when you're talking geopolitics.
Oh, well, and here's a fun fact. All of European rail is different than the Soviet rail. One of the big problems they had early on in the Ukraine war is that as stuff was coming in to Poland, it was coming in on European gauge, and then they had to put it on trucks, cross the border, and then put it on Ukrainian gauge, because Ukrainians have Soviet Union rail, and then put it on different gauge rail.
European rate gauge is pretty much the same as the U.S. 4 foot 8.5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
It was established in the UK. I mean, that's kind of been what it is. U.S., Europe. But Soviet Union is different. And here's a little tidbit. When the U.S. rail was developed, it was not all the same gauge. One of the reasons for the city of Buffalo was that different rail companies came in there with different gauge rails. And they needed a lot of labor to move stuff off of one boxcar on one gauge to transport it in and put it in another boxcar of a different gauge. And then in the U.S., they said, okay, enough of this shit. They, in like a 24-hour period, big logistical challenge. Nope, it's all going to be this gauge. But okay, we got this problem between Soviet Union or former Soviet Union, Russia,
Mhm.
and Europe and US. Different gauge rails.
Well, right. And so what that means is, let's say we shipped stuff to Russia to help them. Well, Russian ports aren't built to take our ships. So it has to come into Gdansk, or I forget the one in the name of the one in Germany. It's a big one, and it's out here. And then it has to get put on rail, and then it has to get taken off the rail and put on different rail and sent over. You're talking about an operation that's probably 6 to 8 weeks before you see the first American military hardware in the Urals. Okay, good luck. The Chinese have already taken most of what they care about in the 2 months that you're talking about this. So there's the problem of, yes, we would love to help the Russians keep the Chinese from doing this. We can't. It's not, the logistics of this are immense, and it's not to say these problems are not solvable. They are solvable. But until you solve them, and the Ukrainians had this problem. Until you figure out how to solve them, they are just this immense friction on trying to do anything. And so now we're going to zoom back in. But we're going to zoom back in here. This is where I want to end. And this, I think, will be an interesting take for a lot of our viewers, and Steve might even, and Nick might even have a bit of an interesting reaction to this. So I'm very curious what your guys' reactions are. Okay. Steve, can you describe what I've framed here?
Well, this is the Middle East, showing Iran is the biggest country out there. The whole geographic region, and you're showing Turkey. We haven't talked about Turkey yet.
Oh,
A big player in this.
okay.
That's what I see.
And of course, Israel's included in the
Pipeline to Turkey.
No, we're actually done talking about oil now. There's a big player in the game who hasn't spoken yet, not loudly. And okay, the Persians and the Turks have a very long history. Very long history. They're not exactly what I would call friends. It is in Turkey's best interest that Iran and Israel do not link up. Okay. Remember, Steve, you said something interesting, and I'm glad you said it at the beginning of the stream. Iran has a large portion of Persian Jews.
Yeah.
And historically, up until the Islamic Revolution, the ties between Israel and Iran were actually very good.
And why was that?
Well, the large diaspora of Persian Jews, for one.
Silk Road?
Yep.
Turkey or Iran is just had a lot of commerce going across it.
Mm-hmm.
Silk Road, commerce, transportation, money.
Uh-huh.
The Jews are very good at commerce. They go where the commerce is. Iran had a lot of commerce going across there.
Yep.
I'm not saying this in a derogatory manner at all. No, it's
a historical fact. That's why there's so many Persian Jews.
Yes.
Right. That's yes. Okay. So Tehran and Israel under the Shah had very good relations. If you guys have listened to the Shah's son at all, Reza Pahlavi,
Getting married.
What?
He's also married to, I think, a Jewish woman. I'm not mistaken.
He might be. I don't know. But that goes back to them having very good relations, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's just
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it is. That is what it is. If there is regime change in Iran, and it is the Shah, okay, it is now in Turkey's best interest to invade Syria, Iraq, and Jordan. Why is that? Well, Steve actually said it. Oil pipelines would flow up through Iraq and out through ports in Israel. Okay. Mediterranean, big ports. Israel has great sea frontage, and that would knock Egypt out, right? You wouldn't need the Soyuz anymore. You just pipe your oil over here. You don't have to do this expensive trip around. It just pipes over here, loads in Israel, and goes.
Yeah, I heard something in the news about a pipeline between Iraq and Turkey already today or yesterday.
That makes perfect sense because you know what? Israel really belongs to Turkey anyway. You guys heard of the Ottoman Empire?
I knew you were going to say the Ottomans. Yes.
Who did Palestine belong to before it became owned by the British, before it was given to Israel?
The Ottoman Turks.
Oh, yeah. Gee, were the borders the same back then?
No. And here's the thing. Turkey is, I look at this one and I go, people are sleeping on Turkey, and except Peter Zion. And he has been banging the drum on this and no one's listening to him. Turkey controls this area. They control the future of this area. And no one has paid any attention to them at all because they have been very smartly quiet. Okay.
Good thing they don't have the biggest army in NATO.
Oh, Steve, you darn it, you got ahead of me. See, Steve, he picks up what I'm laying down. Active personnel in the Turkish armed forces is 481,000. Reserve personnel of 380,000 for a combined total of, doing math in my head, 960,000. It's almost 1 million men. Okay.
Pretty modernized military, don't they?
Oh, Nick, they're a NATO military. They run modern NATO hardware. They run modern NATO tactics and yeah, they are all trained with NATO. They do not have 5th gen fighters. The United States, after Turkey decided to buy Russian anti air defense hardware, decided that we would not sell F-35s to them. They are currently coming back and saying, well, turns out that those S-300s we bought are absolute dog shit. And you proved that to us last year when you were bombing Iran. So we might be willing to, they actually want to sell their S-300s to the United States and buy F-35s. So they don't have them yet, but they could. Okay. So we don't have good data on the Iranian military, especially post-war, but a large part of the reason why the Turkish military is so big is because Turkey and Iran share a border. They don't like each other. And this whole region right up here is informally known as Kurdistan. The Turks hate the Kurds, the Syrians hate the Kurds, the Iraqis hate the Kurds, the Iranians hate the Kurds. Everyone hates the Kurds. Made it useful. That made them useful to us in Iraq 1 and 2, but not so much anymore. And so Turkey, under guise of purging the Kurds, can come down and say, well, we've got to take Iraq, man. And well, Syria's been a basket case for a decade now. In order to secure our borders, we need to come down here and we need to clean out this North Syria and Lebanon. They're really annoying. We need to take them out too. The hardest nut's going to be Jordan, but you don't actually need to take Jordan. You just need to take this chunk right here. right? So you come down, you take Iraq, and you just cut this right there. And it's this area is a big desert. There's not much out there. Pretty easily
You're
defended.
not going to take much of Iran because they're going to
No,
have
you're
the
not.
same problem.
This is all mountains, right?
So, okay, you're going to take a bit up in the north, but then, you know what? You're going to hate Iran. Turks are going to hate Iran. You're just going to just be like two dogs barking on either side of a chain link fence.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to come down. Well, why did I don't really know what the borders of the Ottoman Empire were, but the path of invasion is obviously much easier along the coast, the Mediterranean coast, through Syria, Lebanon, Israel.
Oh, and down here?
Jordan.
Well,
yeah.
Well, what you want to get is...
that's all the fertile ground anyway.
Well, the big prize, Steve. Damascus. That's the big prize. So you just come down here, you chop Damascus, and then you just do this. Like the rest of it is just desert. And as long as you can cut off, and so the Turks basically have to do this. Now, I'm not saying that the Turks want to invade Israel. I'm not going to say anything so daft. The Turks and the Israelis, they don't hate each other. They don't like each other, but they'll work together on things. But Turkey has to prevent these two countries from linking up somehow. And they have a military that is professionally trained, very large, running modern equipment, and has not been significantly bloodied by war like either of these two countries. Turkey and Zion has been banging the table on this, and no one is listening. Turkey is the power player in the Middle East, not Iran, not Israel. Israel wants to be, and I'll share a little bit of information on that. So I shared that
they don't have the manpower to do anything.
Well, right. Okay. So this is the Turkish numbers right here. Okay. Those are the numbers I was looking at.
Yeah.
So let's look at Israel. Active duty, 170,000. They have a large reserve, but
yeah.
But
the second they start stretching their arms, everyone around them is going to go after them.
Well, right. And so now you need that reserve.
Supposedly, is Israel called up 90,000 of their reserves for their invasion, war, whatever you want to call it, on Lebanon in the past couple weeks.
Okay.
30,000 of them refused to show up.
Oh.
Now, is that true?
I don't know.
Again, we don't know. Don't know. There are no facts on this, but take whatever their, okay, if this is any indication, take their reserves and divide it by half, or a little bit more, which might be what would show up. Now, certainly, if it was an existential
defensive fight,
fight, it would be more.
Yeah, that
also factor in the demographics of Israeli society. Very permissive, very woke, very gay.
I haven't seen a demographic profile in Israel. I should go find one.
I mean, Tel Aviv is the gayest city in the world. So, draw your own conclusions.
Their population pyramid isn't that bad. There's lots of... Okay, here, I found it. Let me load it up here. As population pyramids go, this is pretty healthy, to be perfectly honest.
Sure.
You have lots of young, not very many old. They have an excess male surplus, but not by too much. This is now you could probably, if you dive in, you could probably figure out, okay, who exactly are having all the kids, but they're that fertility rate. Love to see that. 3 beats the hell out of our 1.7 or whatever it was last year. So I'm not saying, as I said, I'm not saying that Turkey is going to take Israel per se, but they have to prevent geopolitically Iran and Israel from linking up. And so Turkey, who has a well-trained professional large military, has been sitting on the sidelines, not doing much, biding their time, while everyone else has bludgeoned themselves to death in the Middle East. Iraq, Syria, and Iran now have all bludgeoned themselves on ideological battles. Islam, yay, right? And the Turks are up there. They're Islamic too, ostensibly, but not really. They have a huge secular, and there's lots of the Armenian Christian sects up there in that's the Northeast. Turkey is as multicultural as Iran is, but their leadership isn't psychopathic, to go back to where I started. So they don't hate their leadership like the Iranians do. Turkey writes the future of the Middle East for the next 100 years. Not Israel, not Iran.
I just keep thinking about playing Risk.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Where I'm the Risk player, and okay, I got certain territory, and the 2 or 3 other players on the board keep battling in each other, and just beating each other and beating their armies down. And I just try and shrink and say, don't look at me. Don't look at me. and gaining my forces, watching them weaken each other. This is so great.
Steve, I can't play Risk anymore. I can't, because
get North America.
You take North America and you just sit there and slowly build your army. And while everyone is beating the shit out of everyone else, you're building your army, and then you explode out of North America and you take over the board in like 20 or 30 moves. It's not that difficult to do. The game has gotten almost boring, because the correct answer in all times, in all places, is to sit on your hands, build your military, but don't bloody it, and then you can control the battle space. So that goes back to, again, where I started the stream. The United States has so exhausted itself trying to keep the whole world from exploding that we don't have the resources. We have North America. We can rebuild. But that's the operative word, rebuild. We now have to come home and spend a not insignificant amount of time. We're talking decades. We've got to unfuck our domestic politics. We have to unfuck our economy. We have to unfuck the immigration problem. And then we can start working on unfucking our military. Because if you try to unfuck your military with immigrants coming in, you've just created yourself a brand new military problem.
Absolutely true. But
it's
on
not
a regional
2040.
basis, this is what Turkey is doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Turkey did what we should have done. What were you going to say, Nick?
I was going to say, guys, I'll just give a little comedic taste to this. It's not 2004 with the movie coming out. It's called Team America: World Police.
Yeah. we are. I mean, I am Team America. I'm America first.
Yeah,
And
I'm America first, but when we become the world police, it's kind of exhausting
well,
economically
it has exhausted us. Um,
and military.
Stephen Miller was on. He was doing a press briefing in the Oval Office yesterday, and he said that between the NGOs and all the various frauds from all the immigration, we could, if we cut that all off, I think it's like 10 years, and we go from our $40 trillion debt to debt free. That's how much we have put out into the world. And Stephen Miller's like, yeah, 10 years. But that kind of gives you my timeline. And look, that process will be ridiculously painful for the United States. Okay. It'll
And the
trigger
rest of the world.
Well, I was talking about the famine here. You have to, in order for that process to work, you have to let the famine kill 1 billion people here. Okay. So, this is what I was saying earlier at the beginning. I really do feel bad that we caused the uprising, and then in Iran, and said with our sanctions on China, and then that caused them to start a war, start a civil war basically without any help. And now we're over there expending ourselves helping them out again. Okay, but we can't keep doing this. We don't. We haven't talked a lot of politics, just straight politics, but I've been tracking the polling data for Trump. The dude's going to jail. I'm sorry, guys. The Democrats are going to sweep.
Not a personal thing. It's just probably the numbers.
Yeah. No, this is numbers. The MAGA people have purged all of the groups that gave him the win in 2024. They've purged them all. There's a pollster named Rich Barris who I follow, and he calls this purification through subtraction. Okay, and that is, well, I don't like what this group says about MAGA, so you're not MAGA anymore. And Trump has said, I decide what MAGA is. Well,
a bunch of clapping seals.
Well, right. And so MAGA, there was a poll on CNN this morning. It was ridiculous. It said 100% of MAGA supports Trump. And that's probably, that's probably true, right? The question is, how big is MAGA now versus when it was a year and a half ago in the run up to the election? Oh, right. So the numbers right now say that Trump, or that the Democrats are going to sweep the House and Senate, which means
he'll get impeached.
He will get impeached. And this time it will succeed. The reason it didn't succeed last time is because they didn't have enough votes in the Senate. This time they will. Okay. That means once you're impeached, you are removed. You no longer have any presidential privilege. Impeachment is a two-part process. Once they impeach you and you are removed as president, they will then go after you for the criminal charges that the impeachment were about. So the impeachment says, we think you did something criminal, and because you did something criminal, you can't be president anymore. Okay, here's the criminal thing. Then they refer the criminal charges, and you go
just
to jail.
To be clear, the House impeaches.
And the Senate
the Senate convicts.
Yes.
So impeachment doesn't get you out of office. Impeachment is the first step, then conviction, and now you're out of office.
Correct. And
then it opens a door for
the criminal case. Correct. So we already know what the Democrats are going to use as criminal evidence. We already, because they've said it, we already know that this is their first order of business. And what Trump has done with the war in Iran is he made a campaign promise And it was a very popular campaign promise with the independents, the people who actually swing the vote. And that was no new wars. Now, if he can get us out of this by the end of May, and it just stays an air campaign, and the human loss of American lives is not that great, and he can get his regime change over there at a pretty low cost, he's probably okay-ish. If the day he pulls out of Iran, he immediately pivots to a hardcore domestic agenda. And I mean, bring Bovino back, go ham on all of the sanctuary cities with deportations. I want to see stuffed airliners flying out of the country and coming back empty. Then he could probably recover and make this Iran thing go away. Okay.
There's another big divide. And I have to address this delicately. And it's happening here. Why is Trump his supporters, they're fractioning. It's within Christianity.
That's true too.
It's the evangelical. Okay, think about Zionists.
Crispy Dispies.
I know how to say this. The dual covenant people.
Crispy Dispies. Dispensation.
Versus the supersessionists.
I mean, normal Christianity.
I was involved in a big Twitter spat this past week. Some of you guys saw that.
How many? Okay, now to reach heaven. Let me make this simple. There are two ways to reach heaven. You can accept Jesus as your Savior and as the Son of God, or you can reject Jesus as the Son of God and actually want his death. And then, as long as you have the right genetic material and you're one of the chosen, you can still achieve heaven. So are there two ways to heaven, Nick? Or
No.
is there one covenant, which is the coming of Jesus superseded the old covenant? So now the chosen
Fulfilled.
people are the church, the Christians, and that superseded the old chosen people who were the Jews. Now, this is the great debate. This is the divide. You can probably guess where I'm standing, and now Nick is going to tell you exactly where he's standing on this issue.
Jesus Christ fulfills all the administrations of the covenant of grace, which started primarily with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, then down on the line through David, and Christ, the son of David, fulfilled the promises in the Old Testament, and he's going to bring the kingdom to earth when he returns. It will be heaven on earth when he returns, which will be the resurrection. Yeah. And by the way, the New Testament church didn't do away with all Israel. No. Who are the first members of the Christian church?
Well, they were all Jews.
Oh,
but they ceased to be Jews once they became Christian.
Oh, they believed in Jesus Christ as the heir, son of David, the son of God. Oh, so they are the real Jews, in Christ, right? They're the faithful ones. What happened to the rest?
Hey, Nick.
He got cut out.
Hey, Nick, are you saying
what happened to a lot of the 10 northern tribes of Israel? Oh, yeah.
Nick,
they became the Palestinians.
Nick, are you saying that the covenant of Christ is for all believers, including Jews who follow Christ? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
The door was open to everyone.
It still is.
The chosen people. It's not a genetic thing. It's open to anyone who chooses to be a chosen person and accept Jesus.
Okay.
And
He's the king of the
okay,
Jews.
oh man, Nick, Christ is king. Okay, remember that's now fighting words. That's like
the truth.
if you say that, that's anti-Semitic. Okay, I'm just revealing this division, this battle within Christianity, within our country. Evangelical Zionists versus what Nick would call the true Christians. This is the amount of talk on this has increased tenfold in the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's a big deal, guys. You know what? Learn about it.
The biggest Twitter spat that I've been on, and I wrote a post about it last night. I'll mention it here what I said because I think it's important to get this word out. Is this dude, don't know anything about him, swoops in, says that the theology that Nick is talking about is the oldest and most perverse of the heresies. That was a direct quote. And I hit back with, says the account based in Uruguay. Okay. And I said replacement theology is only heresy from the heretical dispensationalist interpretation. And this guy says, anyone who, yes, I'm living in Uruguay. I also have degrees in religious history and religious studies, and you're a basement dwelling incel who blames the tiny hat people for your inferiorities. I'm like, no, I'm not. And if you knew anything about me, you'd know none of that is true. Okay. And then he does there's a tactic that propagandists on Twitter use. It's called comment and block. Okay. So he leaves this comment. He accuses me of being an inferior man, and then he blocks me so that I can't respond to him. This makes him look like he got the final word in, and I am shirking away. I'm cowering because I was defeated by the great mind that he is. No, he's blocked. He blocked me, so I can't respond. But you can't tell that. And so the thing that I wanted to say, and this is kind of a public service announcement, is that tactic does two things. First, it prevents me from replying, makes him look like the strong man, and I'm weak and because I can't respond. The second is it kills my engagement. What I would ask other Twitter followers to do, and Andrew, you did, you're good. I saw you. Is to, when that happens, because it kills your engagement, go in, and we should go in, copy the evidence like I did. I pulled up the comment and said, why can't you like this? Oh, the author's blocked you. Post the evidence and say, hey, I got blocked. This makes me look bad to the algorithm. Can you guys retweet, re-quote and like some of my other stuff? Just because they are using this as a method to take away your voice, to make the algorithm take away your voice for them. So when you come in and you bring my stuff, or whoever was blocked stuff, you bring it back up, you're counter signaling their tactic. Okay. This space, as Steve was saying, with all the geopolitical stuff going on, and it's why we didn't really talk too much about the details, is so loaded with propaganda, exactly like what happened here, that the only way you're going to win this fight is if you actively counter signal the algo. Algos are stupid. Okay. They see that block and they go, damn, he said something that got, it doesn't know that this guy's a propaganda troll trying to silence my voice. It doesn't know that. It's just, wow, this guy was so bad that he got a block, and it takes away my engagement. When you guys come back and you re-engage with it afterwards, the algorithm goes, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, I deboosted him, but all these other people are engaging with him anyway, and it brings it right back, and it elevates those voices again. So when you're fighting for the truth, and I do firmly believe that what Nick and Steve have been talking about in terms of the theology here is the truth. If you want to fight for it, when you see stuff like this happening, if it happens to you, screenshot it so that we can know to upvote you and bring your engagement back. But also,
I think
do that for other
this
people.
This is a really important place to end this stream.
Yeah, I want Elena to clip this. I want Elena to
geopolitics.
Mm-hmm.
And U.S. versus Iran. Where have we ended this? With the theological debate. The war is actually, it's a parallel war. I don't know how you want to say it, but there is a theological war about, I'm going to say it in general terms, dual covenant theory versus, Plutarch called it replacement theory.
It's called
that's a Protestant
theology.
term. Protestant term is replacement theology.
Or covenant theology is the actual Protestant
covenant. Term. Another term for it is Catholics have been using this for a long time, is supersessionalism. Supersession. Superseded. The new covenant superseded the old covenant. This is the same. This battle is going on, and maybe this battle is more real than the geopolitical battle.
Well,
maybe.
There's also the views of the Shia and Israel, or the Muslims and the of Israel, and Israel wanting to expand with the patches they have on their military. The greater.
Okay, Nick, I have notes on that. My projection forward is that if they try it, it's the end of the Israeli state because they're going to hit Turkey. And I actually have a little note on that. Iran gets wiped, it gets replaced. In order to do what they're doing, and we haven't talked too much about this, the internal demographic polls of what's going on in the United States, but it's common knowledge that the average voter's opinion of Israel is in the toilet right now, and it's not getting better as a result of this war. That is one of the things I did not say in this post, but I had actually written down is that the reason, Steve, you mentioned that there's been an explosion of activity in this space is because they're getting desperate. They are fighting hard because they realize that this is costing them and that there will be very real consequences to the loss of political opinions and the subsequent loss of political power as more and more, this is particularly true of the millennials and younger.
Ted Cruz is right on top of this one.
Oh, I know. As the younger generations look at Israel and go, we don't care about you. It's that meme, I think about you all the time. Or, I and then the other guy goes, yeah, I don't think about you at all. It's not that the youngers have a have an animosity.
It's like the beta man. The beta man wanting the hot girl.
Right. Exactly.
The hot girl doesn't care.
The hot girl doesn't. Yeah, exactly. The United States is rapidly approaching a sort of apathy towards Israel that, and here's the thing. This is in my notes. The millennials and younger are if this keeps going in the Middle East the way it is, they will probably break the treaty with Israel while citing George Washington. George Washington gave this quote about not getting into any permanent entanglements with any other nation. Okay. That's when, once that treaty gets broken, that's a massive green light for Turkey to go wipe out Syria and Iraq. And then now that suffocates Israel. They can't link up with Iran. Israel can't expand north to Lebanon. Why do you think they're shooting for Lebanon right now? They know that Turkey's the big dog coming for them, and that's the fertile bit of ground. Okay. So, but Turkey can militarily wipe out the Israelis. And if the U.S. has said, not our problem, and by the way, we're not an ally anymore, Israel can't win that fight.
How
And
many people live in Turkey?
oh God, it's huge. Turkey is big, guys. Like it's hard to describe the demographic throwaway that Turkey has.
How many people live in Israel?
85 million in Turkey. Yeah.
86 million.
Oh, damn, that's big. Israel,
10 million roughly.
10. Big dog, small dog. Who's going to win that one?
Yeah. Particularly if the millennials decide, we're done with Israel. And so I think that a large part of what you're seeing is the Dispies have realized that they're not as popular as they told themselves they were. And they are losing popularity, particularly with the younger generations. And because of that, they're desperate to try and make dispensationalism, which is a heresy that's the earliest I could trace it back to was 800 years, and it was totally disorganized until Darby in the 1830s. So it's really 200 years old. There's actually a fun little side branch of that topic with the Mormons that I will not get into tonight. But
okay, just to put little tidbits, John Nelson Darby linked into Cyrus Schofield and the Schofield Study Bible, which took root in the U.S. and resulted in dispensationalism and taught in Dallas Theological Seminary, Union Theological Seminary, and then back to where did Jonathan Nelson Darby come from? Plymouth Brethren. So I just want to throw out those terms to kind of make that linkage and not go in any deeper. Am I wrong in any of that, Nick?
I haven't looked up the Plymouth Brethren, but yeah, sounds right.
Okay.
I actually looked up the history and timeline for the fight I got into on Twitter. That's why I was. So dispensationalism is new and it is a heresy. Okay, like that we can just kind of but
it's actually more antinomian in view of God's covenants than the antinomians were.
Ironic. So, but this is what I mean when I say we have bigger problems at home. We need to spend some time to get this cultural shit figured out, to get this religious shit figured out. And this is religious shit. We shouldn't be doing this. The Bible's pretty damn clear on what the actual answer is, but we imported some shit 200 years ago, and now we've got to clean the mess up. But because we have been constantly distracted by all these foreign entanglements, we haven't had the opportunity to take the time necessary to focus on the U.S. and its people. And if you don't, eventually you'll be forced to. Because
we can't be a cohesive, unified society until we work out these things inside of our borders.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We need to have the debate, whatever strife is required from it, and settle this so we can be a unified people and Americans. And then only when we are one as a people can we fight whatever is coming our way. And we have been distracted by trying to police the world And now we're kind of internally fractionated.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, when I saw that when I see the reactions of the dispensationalists, I actually danced a little jig. I thought that was a great thing because to me that showed their desperation. But at the same time, it also points to this fact that we really have very serious problems here in the United States that need to get resolved. And so that's why I said at the beginning, I would love to be able to help the Iranians. I think the Iranians and Persians are a far superior ally in the Middle East than the Saudis. Fuck me. Infinitely superior. Okay. I would love to be able to. But if
I've never met a Persian or Iranian that I didn't think was, hey, this is a decent guy. I like talking to this guy.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they are far superior allies in the Middle East for a massive number of reasons. Getting them on board in the fight with China would be just I can make the geopolitical case for what Trump is doing. And I actually, if you go back and pay attention to what I did, that geopolitical case runs through the entire show we did. But if doing so throws the United States into 12 to 16 years of gay race communism, leftism, then we can't help the Iranians either. Like, okay, yeah, we get the regime change, but we can't help them rebuild because we're over here fighting a not civil war. Okay, we can't help other people until we have cleaned our room first. And we have a lot of shit to clean up. We're not doing so great over here. I want to be able to help other people. And if that means that I have to tell the Iranians, sorry, we can't help you right now. You're going to have to wait this one out. And they go, well, screw you. Don't even bother. I'll go, okay. Because nothing that happens on that side of the world is going to affect the United States for the next cycle.
I think they'd say, please, please, leave us alone. Take your toys, go home, vacate the Middle East. We'll handle it.
Maybe so. I don't know. The Iranians less so. The Saudis would love it if we did that. Because
the Israelis not so much.
Oh, the Israelis would hate it. Because we'd be leaving them hanging out to dry. I mean, as I said, and I've said this before on other streams, I'm happy to sell the Israelis as much military hardware as they can absorb, but their economy isn't that big. So, it's just, I would love to be able to help the world, but the world has cost the United States so much that there just isn't help left to give. We just don't have it. I mentioned with the number of destroyer hulls we have. We can't build them fast enough to do what's necessary, and we can't afford it. We've got $39 trillion of debt today. Massey posted that it crossed 39 trillion this morning. We cannot afford to help you anymore. We have got to fix our shit first. We were able to win. We are the only nation to win a war that we fought on two fronts at the same time. And we did it with 145 million people. We don't need 330, 40 million people, whatever it is, to be successful. We need to get back to our roots, back to what made us great, back to being absolute kick-asses, kick-ass name taker, pipe hitters is another military term, and being the very best America we can be, then we can help you again. But we can't help you guys right now. We're tapped out.
Oh,
there's nothing left.
Plutarch, you're talking like a white knight here.
I know, right?
Making apologies for not being able to save every damsel in distress.
Well, there's a reason why I'm saying that, is because there are people we need to save for our own good. We need to be able to help Japan, because Japan is going to, Remember how, I didn't really say it, but I was talking about China getting its access to all those resources. Once they do that, the CCP is entrenched. We will have a fight with the CCP. Not right away. I will be an old man or dead when that happens. But we need to be able to rebuild Japan. Their demographic profile sucks. We're going to have to help them do that for our own benefit. I could say the same about Singapore and Indonesia and even Iran, because Iran sits on the other side of China, and Russia. But you guys got to understand.
Yeah, I would say Russia. I'd put South Korea in there too.
Yeah, right.
Good people.
We have to. There's a lot of people that we are going to have to help to box China in. Okay, guys.
And you know what? I don't have as much knowledge about Indonesians, but I'd put them in there. I'd put in the Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of good people, a lot of good nations in the world, a lot of nations made up of good people that we've in the past gone to war against and demonized. But no, they're good people.
Tacticus with the joke. I'll put this up there. Nigeria is fine. Plenty of princes. That's a good one, Tacticus. That gets a belly laugh. I'm not helping these people out of some sort of simpy, do it so that they love me. I'm doing it because those countries are going to be they're going to be the front line of the next fight. And the US has done this before, where we build up other nations and we use it to suffocate an opposing power. That's what we did to the Soviet Union. It is a good strategy. But we can't do it right now. We don't have the money. We don't have the infrastructure. Good Lord, we've deindustrialized over here. Okay? So that's kind of that's the end of what I wanted to say tonight.
Geopolitics. Damn good thing, because over 3 hours we're gonna lose our standing in YouTube and destroy our demographics and all that shit if we keep talking.
Oh, come on, Steve. Whatever goes for 7, 8, 9 hours.
Okay.
No, we're getting hungry, actually, is what's happening. Well, and Steve probably needs to go to bed for work tomorrow. I mean, we do have work. We have lives outside of this. But I hope this guys helps you. We weren't going to answer a lot of the pressing political, tactical questions of the day, but hopefully this helps you guys understand where we're headed as a result of this action that was taken. I think, summary, I think Africa, I think we're going to have a famine. I think we're going to lose somewhere between 1 to 2 billion people between now and 2050. I've said that before. I'm saying this is going to make that more likely. I think this makes it more likely that China invades Russia for the resources. And I think you are now looking at a future battle between Turkey, Iran, and possibly Israel over control in the Middle East.
These things are not going to happen tomorrow.
That's correct.
Keep your eyes open. Watch, see what happens. Some of these things 5-10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe some of the famine happens sooner. The immigration pressures. Okay, even if it works this way, 12 months, 18 months from now.
It'll take time.
Okay. It's like a slow motion train wreck.
Yeah. My biggest concern out of all of this is that Iran causes Trump to get thrown in jail, which means that the commies get in power, and they'll stay in power for a while if they do, because they'll do what they did in Virginia, and they will invite all of the African refugees from the famine and they'll blame it on Trump. And the sad thing is, they won't even be wrong to blame it on Trump. as I drew out today.
So, am I going to be saying President Newsom?
I don't know. Not making that level of prediction, but we have a bunch of open borders commies, and we are staring down the barrel of a famine in Africa. And the Americans are likely to hand power to the people, the open borders commies, because of Trump breaking promises. When you're dealing with geopolitics, that's the stakes you're playing at. You are not allowed to make a mistake. Every mistake has massive consequences. And that's what I was trying to draw out tonight.
All I got to say is I'm voting for Joe Kent.
You went there. Oh, Steve. Hey, Nick, do you have anything you want to add?
Nations rise, some increase, some fall. Every ruler's in the hand of the Lord, and he does what he pleases.
That's actually a really good place to end it on. 3 hours of hardcore geopolitics, and at the end, Nick just comes in and says, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all God's design anyway. I love it, Nick. Hey, Steve, what's next week?
Yeah. Oh, damn. What I had a good one. We're going back in time. Her mask hides abortion, infidelity. Oh, wait. Abortion, promiscuity, infidelity, guilt. And this is a throwback to 2 episodes I did. The mask she wears and, introducing IPA guilt, infidelity, promiscuity, abortion. And the guilt that absolutely drives a woman. So, we have a habit on this show to throw out concepts and then we move on to something else. No, this one really, I think, is very, very profound. Hasn't really gone anywhere since we first introduced it. So I need to go back and revisit this.
All right. Next week. Okay, guys. If you liked what you heard tonight, or if you hated what you heard, you can give us a like or a dislike. All right.
Oh, man.
Up to you.
If you think they hated you tonight, they should hate me more, because
Next
I'm
week.
talking about something close to home. So, you know what? Bring all you haters on next week. Oh, man, you will have, if you want to hate people, you can hate on me for the next 2-3 weeks, probably.
Well, I did say at the beginning that tonight I would make everybody angry by attacking somebody's sacred cow. And okay, so if you guys disagree with me, you can leave a comment too. I will try to get back to you. I am thankfully not quite as busy this week. Still very busy, just not quite as busy. I've been really busy the past couple weeks. Yeah, we'll get back to you. I'll try to. If you leave a comment under the video, and if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, give us a subscribe. You'll hear more. Although the algorithm doesn't always like us because we talk about unapproved things.
Oh, yes. Alana doesn't have a topic since she didn't mention it.
No, she did. Oh, no, sorry. She said something else. Yeah, no, she doesn't know what this week is, but she would appreciate it if you would join her. I'm sure it will be something red pill related because she's still in her rage phase. So yes, join us on Saturday for whatever she comes up with. Don't know yet. Next week, she'll probably make it something about the mask because she loves talking about that, and she can work it into next week's stream with Steve. I have a feeling, Steve, that's where this is going.
Okay.
So, yeah, and we will thank you for sticking with us. This was a long one. We had to go all over the Eastern Hemisphere. Lots to talk about. Didn't really change my calculus, just kind of solidified a lot of it. It was fun, and we will see you all next week. Later.
There was a firefight! Son of a bitch!